I track every product that I have and how much I sell of the product versus how much I manufacture, etc. So this particular tab is sales. So you can see that now I'm looking at January, February, and March. So I'll have one for each of the quarters. So this is quarter one sales. I have Etsy and Shopify, PayPal, and Cash and shows. So this is really like everything else, all of the other streams. If I do events, which I do a lot of, customers who maybe see me or come to the studio and pay cash. And then PayPal and shows kind of go together, but then if I have private events or I have somebody who wants to just stop over, I might just use my PayPal swipe and um, take the sales that way. January consignment is all of the stores. I believe I have about 8 consignment shops right now. And Etsy and Shopify, anything that goes through Etsy, and these can be wholesale orders or Shopify, all wholesale orders basically go through Shopify, and individual sales. So combined, how many of the Best Day soap or Best Day cream, and it goes all the way down to every product that I am selling this year. So I'll just record those in there. And then this is something I'll do at the end of the first quarter. I'll just run reports and put them in here. So then I have my totals for January, go here. My totals for February, same thing, go here. March totals, same thing, go here. And then I can get a total over here, which I should probably put in totals for quarter one. And then what will happen is I also have a quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four. And then I can take that totals column and just take those numbers and copy them over to a separate tab when I do the year-end totals, so I can get the total number of sales. Okay, so now let's bounce over to the beginning and ending inventory. And this is also where I record my raw materials received, which will be a different video in and of itself, so I can explain the system for that. But you can also go back and look at the SOPs video for my systems, and it'll explain how I do things like come up with codes for my products. But this is a little bit of a different process where I'm coding all of the raw materials that come in. So these are the oils that I use in production, and the butters and the waxes and other additives like lye and optifen and just different colors and things that I use. All of the different fragrance goods sold will go in here. So this is the code that I come up with for each one, and I'm actually updating these as I enter things when I receive them right now. So this will all be filled in, but these are all of the different codes that I come up with for every one of the raw materials that I work with. And then I have the beginning inventory in pounds. So this is what I ended 2018 with, so I can report that to my accountant. It also helps me to know what I'm starting with now in 2019, so those numbers transfer over. This is the beginning inventory for non-weight items. So for instance, this should go right here. That's a mistake. But things like jars and labels that aren't going to be counted in pounds, but individual items will go in this column. Everything else is recorded in pounds. So I start the year as light as I can, so I don't have a lot of inventory that I have to declare. I want new inventory coming in, and then in January I go through and repurchase. So the date purchased and received goes here, and then I have a lot number assigned. So I use my my coding system, which I can go over in a different video, to create a code or a lot number, and then these actually go onto a label and go onto the individual almond, avocado, castor, coconut, whatever the product happens to be. So then I have the total amount of pounds in quarter one, total used in manufacturers in ounces. So this I will eventually just turn, and once quarter one is finished, I'll change this to pounds and just convert them. or I may leave it in ounces, I'm not sure, but it just helps to know how much I have used versus how much I bought and what's left over, and just helps with the cost of goods sold. So then I have the same thing happens again for quarter two, and then it will happen for quarter three, and then I'll get my totals from there. Manufacturers monthly. So this is where I keep track of my annual manufacturers. So things, these are all in alphabetical order, which I'm changing everything over to so that I can keep all of the different lines together. So I have baseline soap, but then I have best day soap, best day cream, best day perfume. So the beginning inventory count, how many baseline soaps did I have, how many best day creams did I have, that kind of thing. So this is not updated. And January, manufacture of each. So I made 44 calm creams. A typical large batch of soap is going to be 98 bars. And this is just a separate column for 2-ounce jars, because the creams, I also manufacture small jars to use for my stores for samples and for other things. So I want to have those, or for my wholesale sales rep to go out and take samples out to different stores. She needs to have a kit of these as well. So I want to at least record them, even though I'm not selling them individually. And then this just goes on and on and on, and this actually goes all the way through December. And then I have the total number of sales for total number of manufacturers for the entire year. Now this needs to be deleted because I'm just transferring everything over from 2018 and kind of copying and pasting and creating a more succinct system here. So this is what it would look like, and it would just give me the total manufactured, not sold. I was using an old spreadsheet to create this one. So that's what we have. In fact, that can total, we don't need to, can go there. And then I'll know how many I manufactured. This is other expenses. So this tab is for anything else. Now I run all of my expenses and my sales numbers and everything through QuickBooks. And QuickBooks will then categorize everything. I had my accountant set it up in the beginning for the different categories that I needed, but this is something you can certainly do by yourself. Just research, what do I need for the different categories within QuickBooks to set up my accounting system. So for me, I know that I have things like supplies, I have marketing materials, I have equipment like molds and different tools that I use. There are services, accounting and marketing, and this actually is broken down even further. So let's see that I'm not missing anything. But for the most part, this isn't really necessary to use. However, I do like to have things in here like let me scroll down. So entertainment, etc., mileage totals. I do want to keep my mileage totals for each month. So that's something that's not in QuickBooks, for instance. Another thing that is not in QuickBooks is utilities. So this would be the percentage. There's a certain percentage that you're allowed to claim on your total home utilities if you have a studio in your home. So that's something I would keep track of in here that is not in QuickBooks. Home studio write-off is something that I don't necessarily track in numbers, but it reminds me that I have to make sure my accountant is looking at that percentage as well. Like my cell phone bill, I use my cell phone for business, but I claim only a certain percentage of it because I also use it for personal. So all of these things I can track in here, and then it just goes in my overall spreadsheet at the end of the year. So that is what my system looks like for receiving materials and using them in manufacturing, for monthly manufacturers, other expenses, and then sales for each quarter. And that's it. You can see quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four. So don't be afraid to start your own systems. These work really well for me. I have used all of the more complicated systems and the online subscriptions that you can buy, and I found that this is what my accountant really needs from me, and it's working much better, and it's free. If you want to run your own ideas by me or chat about it or get some help just setting things up, there's also somebody I can refer you to that actually just sells spreadsheets that are specific to Etsy or Shopify. Just go and see the link in the description below. That will take you over to my Etsy page, and we can arrange to talk. So thanks so much, and I appreciate you being here.